My name is Gleeson and I'm the Chair of the Finance Council. I'm here to present to you the 2023 Year-End Financial Situation Report for the Parish. I must first, however, start with an apology. This presentation to the parishioners is usually done within the first 90 days of the new year. We're a little bit later than that this year, and for that I apologize. As has been the case in past years, and in an effort to reach the most widest audience possible, we'll present the year-end situation by means of this video. I would like to just take a moment and thank Ed Luziak, who is the man behind the camera and has been for all of these videos that have been posted on our website. Without him, this presentation would not be possible. Thank you, Ed. I invite you to follow along with the slide presentation material as you watch this video. I will make references to the slide numbers as place markers throughout my presentation. Slide 2 is a table of contents and it lists the topics that I'll be covering today. Slide 3 is the membership of the Parish Finance Council. We've had only one membership change since last year. Nick Ogrondick had to step down from the council due to work commitments. We were, however, very fortunate that Andre Saint-Jacques, the past chair of Pastoral Council, has agreed to join our council. He brings with him a wealth of knowledge and insights. New this year on the Finance Council are 2 ex officio representatives, the operations manager and a pastoral council liaison. I've said this at every presentation that I have made, but I feel strongly that it bears repeating. It can never be overstated. St. Basil's is very fortunate to have such a committed group of individuals who volunteer on the Finance Council. There's a solid corporate history and a commitment to the parish in these individuals. We benefit of a depth and breadth of their knowledge and their experience and their skill sets as varied professionals. There are individuals with extensive business and public sector experience, management excellence, engineering, legal, and finance backgrounds. On behalf of St. Basil's Parish, I would like to thank all of their members for their contribution to this ministry. Slide 4 is the governance and our role as Finance Council members. The role of the Finance Council is to work with the pastor in providing financial oversight and advice on the financial administrations of the parish. The governance structure under which we operate is a diocesan-issued document entitled The Protocol for Parish Financial Administration. It's basically the Archdiocese policy document for finance councils. It covers a wide range of financial administration topics such as the frequency of our meetings, the business processes of who, how, and what we should be doing in activities like how to deposit checks, how to manage the collection envelopes, how to do bank reconciliation, the frequency of which we must have our meetings, the management of petty cash, etc. At each of our monthly Finance Council meetings, we review a selection of these protocols to ensure that we remain compliant. By year end, the Council has reviewed every protocol on an annual basis. One of the protocols from the guidance document is our year-end financial reporting. We, the Finance Council, must submit a year-end financial statement to the Archdiocese, and we must report the year-end financial situation to the parishioners. The rest of my presentation, I'll cover an overview of the parish's core financial statements. And for ease of presentation, I will use rounded numbers in thousands of dollars. Slide 5, the balance sheet. Its purpose is to indicate the organization's net worth. It's also often called a statement of financial position. The balance sheet lists the organization's assets, their liabilities, and the organization's net equity. This slide is a snapshot of St. Basil's comparative balance sheets for 2023 and 2022. Assets, which represent something of value that the organization owns. In our case at St. Basil's in 2023, we had a total of $715,000 in assets. This is made up of current assets, which is usually cash on account or accounts receivable, and it totaled about $47,000. Our investments on account, which is monies that are on deposit at the Archdiocese, were $394,000. For your information, we earn approximately 4% interest on those monies that are on account at the Archdiocese. In 2023, the interest revenue earned was $13,000. Our long-term assets that St. Basil's has is our endowment fund, CIBC shares, that total almost $274,000. Liabilities, which represent any debt we owe to others, is made up of any accounts payable we owe suppliers at the end of the fiscal year when we close our accounting books. And also it's made up of any monies we are holding on account for various groups within the parish. A few of those examples are things like the donations received and the expenses not yet incurred for the Refugee Fund initiative, or mission and social justice monies that are held on account, or prayer shawl ministry, etc. At the end of 2023, we had $99,000 in liabilities. Equity on the balance sheet, which represents the value of the organization, it's derived after subtracting all the debts we owe, all of our liabilities, from our assets that we own. For St. Basil's at the end of December 2023, our equity account totaled $616,000. Thanks to parishioners' continued generosity and support over the many years, we are blessed with having a healthy equity account. However, a word of caution here. This should not be interpreted as the parish having $616,000 available to spend right now if we needed to. And we couldn't, because of that $616,000, approximately 60% of those funds in the equity account are earmarked for specific purposes. The balance of the monies in this account are what is called general purpose monies and would be available immediately should we need it. On slide 6, I'll go through a little more detail on the components of our equity account. Equity represents the financial health of an organization. St. Basil's equity account has a few basic components. First, there's $372,000 in designated specified purpose monies. This amount currently has two parts. The first is the $274,000 in CIBC shares donated from a generous benefactor. These securities have specific stipulations attached to them. We cannot touch the principal investment, only the dividend interest earned each year. These monies are not to be spent on ongoing operations of the parish, but rather on parish charitable activities. For example, bursaries to students, charitable organizations, ministries such as social action and pastoral outreach are but a few. In 2023, the endowment investment income earned was $17,000. As a result of the kindness and generosity of an anonymous parish benefactor, St. Basil's is able to provide on an annual basis much needed assistance to many recipient organizations. The second part of the designated funds currently totals $98,000. This is the residual balance of monies on account related to our previous capital fundraising campaigns and monies collected over the year from the building fund envelopes. We still have some outstanding electrical work to be completed. That's estimated to cost around $50,000. The balance remaining of this $98,000 is earmarked for future major repairs. For example, this spring, the premises committee just purchased battery backup equipment for the sump pump in the church tunnel, which cost just under $10,000. These types of major building costs come from this specified purpose account. Please continue using your building special envelopes. The second component of the equity account, which totals $244,000, are funds available for general purposes. This is the source of funds we currently use to fund our ongoing operations and to cover any deficits that we may incur. This is also the main source of monies on account at the Archdiocese, for which we receive approximately 4% interest revenue. The annual interest revenue earned is a source of income to St. Basil's, used to help cover parish operating expenses. In 2023, the parish earned just over $13,000 in interest revenue. A point to note here is that the more we draw down on our general purpose monies to cover and offset some operating deficits, the less we will earn in interest revenue. So I just briefly covered the balance sheet. I'll take a few minutes now and go through the main components of the income statement. On slide 7 is St. Basil's comparative income statement for 2023 and 2022. This reflects all revenues and all expenditures. In other words, it includes all designated funds, major capital projects, financial data for the past calendar year. A few points to note on this slide are, in 2023, there was no COVID relief funding. The general revenues, which is under the line that says donations, bequests, and others, increased by $31,000 or 12% over 2022, which is excellent. Thank you very much. Our operating expenditures for running the parish in 2023 totaled $323,000. This was an increase of almost $50,000 over the expenses in 2022. Unfortunately, that's not so good. And it was an increase of $57,000 higher than what we had budgeted. A few key expense categories that had significant year-over-year increases were the salaries and benefits envelope. And the biggest contributor to the year-over-year shortfall is backfill salary cost when our pastor went on a retreat in early 2023. Utility costs increased by $5,000, the largest being gas and insurance. Property maintenance cost increased by approximately $23,000 over the previous year, the largest being rectory repairs and maintenance of about $12,000. One example of a significant expense there is in 2023, we had to purchase a new air conditioner for the rectory, and that cost about $8,000. Mechanical systems and snow removal cost increased in total by over $5,000 from the previous year. Taxes, both HST and diocesan taxes, the total combined increase here was $6,000. As our expenses increase, we pay more HST. As our revenues increase, we pay more diocesan taxes. The diocesan tax is 13% of all non-designated revenues. The major capital expenses on our income statement for 2023 were $28,000. This was the cost of repairs and repaving the potholes in the west parking lot last summer. Designated expenses on the balance sheet were $124,000. The biggest year-over-year expense here was the sponsorship of the Almusa family. The year-end deficit for 2023 on our income statement was $36,000. When we exclude all designated revenues and expenses, which are earmarked for specific purposes, the 2023 operating deficit was $64,000. We have a healthy general purpose equity account. Funds were available to cover this deficit. However, if we continue to erode that general purpose equity account without replenishing it, we will also continue to earn less interest revenue, which we need to cover the cost of operating our parish. Slide 8 is a revenue slide, and it provides you a little bit more details on the various categories and types of revenues the parish received in 2023. I'd like to first start by saying St. Basil's is a very generous parish. This community is very blessed. Thank you very much for your generosity. The total revenues received in 2023 were $438,000. The bulk of which stems directly from parishioner contributions. The two largest components of this are our Sunday collections at approximately $227,000 and special collections, which totaled $152,000. Those special collections are broken down to almost $12,000 in Archdiocese collections, things like share Lent and works of the Holy Father, etc., those special envelopes. And the balance of special collections, $141,000, are for various types of parish-specific special collections, things like Holy Thursday, parish charitable works, the Christmas exchange, the refugee fund are a few examples. The parish also received other types of revenue income, and in 2023 that totaled just under $60,000. Examples of these revenues are: we rent space for a communication dish on our bell tower to Videotron. We earn rental income from that. We have rental income from the parish hall and the investments we have on account at the Archdiocese. I thank you all very much for your generosity and your continued support of St. Basil's. Slide 9 is an operating income statement. It provides, like the revenue slide, a little bit more detail on the types of expenditures that are incurred to run our parish. This slide excludes any capital projects, any designated funds, and anything to do with the CIBC shares. This slide also provides you a comparison of what was spent in 2023 to what we had budgeted in 2023, as well as our approved budget for 2024 and the percent increase requirements from 2023 to 2024's budget. A few key points to note on this slide. Although our 2023 revenues increased by higher than 12%, higher than 2022, they were still a little bit lower, almost $3,000 lower than what was budgeted in 2023. In order to have a balanced budget, we require an additional 12% increase in our total parish revenues. This can either come from an increase in collections, specific donations, or an increase in fundraising or other rental revenue sources. Our total operating expenses in 2023 were approximately $57,000 higher than what we had budgeted. But as I had mentioned, we had a few one-time exceptional expenses this past year. The parking lot paving, the backfill of salary benefits for our pastor, and a higher than usual rectory repairs and maintenance expenses. We are budgeting $327,000 in operating expenses for this new year, 2024. This amount is pretty close to the 2023 actuals, and we have anticipated continued price increases. From a major capital and major repairs perspective, you may have noticed on the financial table that we have not yet reflected anything in the 2024 budget for major repair projects, even though our building is over 60 years old and, like all facilities, does require major investments to sustain it into the future. We've made a footnote on this financial table to reference the effect that fundraising will be required in this regard. The Premises Committee did recently submit to the Archdiocese two major repair proposals. One is to repair the roof of the church building itself. And the other is to replace the hydro pole in the parking lot right close to the parish garage. And as well as replace that pole, there will be significant electrical repairs that will need to be done from the pole directly back into the church. We're awaiting a decision in early June in terms of approval to fundraise for these initiatives, and we have also requested a diocesan tax exemption on any of the monies raised for these capital fund requirements. A separate communication and announcements will be forthcoming at that time. The last column on this slide is the 2024 annual budget. As I mentioned in the governance slide, part of our responsibility is we must submit a budget, a 2024 budget to the Archdiocese, and we also must ensure that parishioners are aware of what the 2024 annual budget is. Listed for your reference is a very conservative budget that was submitted to the Archdiocese. The next three graph slides provide supplemental data analytics on the parish's financial operations. The first graph shows you the percent allocation split by input factor of the 2023 revenues and expenses. The second graph shows you a year-over-year trend analysis from 2016 to 2023 of the parish's expenses and revenues. And the last graph shows you year-over-year comparison of key operating expense categories in running the parish for that same time period. I invite you to review these data analytics in more detail. Slide 14 is our closing summary. Like everyone else, we are subject to price increases in the products and services we require for the ongoing operations of our parish. We ask that you please keep this in mind when making your regular Sunday donations or when being asked to donate and/or to help with special fundraising activities. As I've mentioned, we are blessed with a healthy general purpose equity account. However, it's not good financial management to plan to always be dependent on our reserves. I ended last year's financial summary presentation with a statement that after coming through the pandemic years, we are entering 2023 with a new hope and promise. In preparing the material for this year's presentation, that particular statement struck a chord with me. I offer for your consideration that despite reporting what is a somewhat significant operating deficit this past year, 2023 was in fact a very good year. I have no doubt we can all easily think of many positives within our parish community. We welcome the Almusa family to our parish. Church attendance and collections are increasing. Children's liturgy is becoming more active. There have been many parish functions with active participation from our parish community. Pastoral outreach in its various forms has been exceptional. The parish continues to live its mission statement of being a vibrant and welcoming community, rich in heritage, built by laity and Basilians that continues to journey in hope. On behalf of all Finance Council members, thank you very much for your continued support, your generosity, and your attention. Thank you for taking time to view this presentation. I hope you found the information on the parish financial situation informative. If anyone has any questions on any of the material, please don't be shy to reach out to any Finance Council member. Our contact information is on the front of the bulletin. God bless and good health.